next Monday, it's over.
Yeah, you're in the thick of 2026 by then, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we have to start with some amazing news. I don't think we've actually ever had news of this level of joy ever to bring to the nation at 7 p.m. I am so excited to tell you all that Evan Ferguson has scored a goal. Have a listen to this.
Le ballon pour Ferguson. Ferguson pour climatiser le Via del Mare. La Roma mène à 0. L'Irlandais. Très bien joué ce mouvement la part des hommes du Gasp.
Yes, that is a French commentator. We couldn't quite find any Italian commentary out there. Maybe it's not live on Italian TV tonight, but Roma have beaten Lecce 2-0 away from home. Evan Ferguson with a 14th-minute strike. Describe it to us, Owen.
Yeah, lovely little play out wide, and he's on the edge of the box. And yeah, the ball comes into him. Lovely first touch, and he just swivels away from the defender and kind of buries it low and hard to the right of the goalkeeper. Not quite in the corner, but they had such power on it that the keeper didn't really have a chance. It's an excellent finish from him.
It was a Dybala assist as well. I like the idea of Dybala assisting Evan Ferguson. Now, the bad news is that Artem Dovbyk scored the second goal. Kind of public enemy number one here in Ireland.
Came on for him.
Came on for him and scored. Okay,
yeah.
Absolutely.
After 60 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like
to the minute.
Come at the hour.
60th minute.
Come with the Dovbyk.
It just follows such a pattern. So Ferguson is now not going to score in the next game. He's going to get gaslit and verbally abused by Gasperini in a public setting. He is, because it's going to be January, get linked to a move back to Brighton. Brighton will say, no, we don't want this player. Then he's going to come back the next week, score in the next game. And Roma are like, what are you talking about? This guy's amazing. Yeah. Once again, we're getting gaslit by Gasperini, and we're going to think that Roma love him. And you rinse and repeat. Every second week, it's all glory or none at all for Evan Ferguson.
I'm starting to believe this is a translator issue. There's no way he keeps saying these negative things about him in the manner that he's saying them. Like that, this has to be lost in translation.
I don't know.
It seems very aggressive though.
He really wants Joshua Zirkzee.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's no lost in translation about wanting Joshua Zirkzee as your number 9.
It's not different in Italian, Zirkzee.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know.
It's honestly I've had a theory on it in the sense of that potentially that he thinks the best way of getting the best out of Ferguson is to
fire a rocket,
semi-abuse him in the media.
Yeah.
I've actually played for managers that have tried to do that with players never lasts long. But yeah, maybe I don't know. It just seems really harsh to me. It seems really harsh, his language.
Consistently, and like, I mean, even last week there was kind of talk of this being a failed loan spell. Like, it's not like he shot the lights out and has scored a goal a game or anything like that. But even if it ended now, you wouldn't call this a failed loan spell, would you? Like, he's picked up numerous Man of the Match awards.
I think he's 5 goals. Not the end of the world for a
It's grand.
20-year-old. Yeah.
It's not great.
Yeah.
It's not bad. But it's not a failed loan spell.
Definitely not a failed loan spell. Gone out there and different culture, different league, trying to learn the ropes of everything. He's coming good at a good time. I think did he score 2 weeks ago as well?
Yeah.
In
the middle, like the 28th, I think it was.
Yeah, like he's
in the middle of Christmas.
Only a month ago, Gazetta were writing about the credits rolling on this. It's a sad end to this film. A once great player who was destined for stardom but couldn't quite make it. But I don't know. Even Gasperini, when he got the second goal against Genoa, was sort of like, I need more of that. Like, maybe I misjudged the lad, but it was still a kind of backhanded, where the hell was this?
Yeah. Very strange. It's just been, like as you said, it probably is an aspect of it that is lost in translation, and we're getting something that's maybe, a 7 out of 10 on the harshness getting turned up to 9 or a 10. But I think the sentiment has been overbearingly negative and undeservedly negative quite a lot when it comes to Ferguson this year. So, look, we're happy to come on air at 7 o'clock, fresh from a new Evan Ferguson goal and fresh with fresh optimism for Irish football once again. So that's the situation there. They have got all 3 points and they are into the top 5, I believe, or into the top 4 now, in fact, in Serie A. So that's the Evan Ferguson situation. Cameron Hill, where do you want to begin tonight in the news round?
Oh, like everywhere else, so, and we better begin with the news today from Manchester United that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has emerged as a leading candidate to take interim charge of the club. Multiple outlets reporting that the Norwegian boss has held talks with the Old Trafford hierarchy today. It would mark his second stint in the United dugout. He came, of course, initially as caretaker boss in 2018 following the departure of Jose Mourinho, was permanently appointed in March 2019 and then left the club in November of 2021. So I would say watch this space on the Solskjaer front going back to United. Darren Fletcher has been appointed after the departure yesterday of Ruben Amorim, and he was speaking to the media for the first time today.
It's an amazing honour, I think, to be able to lead a Manchester United team. I don't even think it's in my wildest dreams that was something that could potentially happen. I think even thinking about playing for the club and stuff like that, but to lead out a team is an amazing honour and something I'm really proud to do. Not in the circumstances I expected it to happen, so that obviously is something that doesn't sit quite easy with me, but I've just to think of I've got a job to do and I've got to lead the team tomorrow and think of the great honour and pride in doing that.
Solskjaer going back seems like it's going to happen until the end of the season, Owen. It feels like a safe enough option given that the previous caretaker stint was clearly good enough for him to get the permanent job. Things have changed quite a lot at Old Trafford since then. The one question I'd have is the difference between Fletcher and Solskjaer that great that you have to switch it up between those two figures? Maybe it is.
It's probably just experience.
Yeah.
The Solskjaer's experience over. He's obviously like in an emergency break last. We got Solskjaer back, like Ireland with John O'Shea and Celtic with Martin O'Neill.
Yeah.
This is their break glass of emergency. This is the man that'll kind of get us through this moment.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it makes like I'd be interested to see what happens if Manchester United do secure Champions League football and he gives the board something to think about. But even like prior to that, I know
Manchester United get Champions League football, he'll be manager there.
But Amarim could have got Champions League football
by default, win the lesser tournament. Or do you mean this season?
This season.
Yeah.
Like he could still have got top 5.
And he'd be manager next year.
Yeah. Like, I mean, again, we could relitigate the whole Amarim era, but like for Solskjaer to do that, or for any manager to do that, it's not that much of a leap forward from where Manchester United currently are. I know they've got tough fixtures coming up. Yeah. They just had an easy run, and this is the part where they should probably be comfortably in the top 5 and then fall back a little bit.
Yeah, it's hard to see them. There's definitely 6 to 7 better teams than Manchester United at the minute in the Premier League, I think.
So Amarim slightly overachieving the season.
What do you think? It's second that fella.
Yeah. If you're going brass tacks, you're replacing a guy who got you to 6th in the Premier League with someone who didn't make the Conference League with Besiktas. Like, that's the calibre of Solskjaer at this point. I don't know. I think it's a real step down. Do
you reckon?
I think so. It's not a Liam Rosenior kind of appointment.
Yeah. I mean, again, so much has changed in the last number of years, but the first Solskjaer era, there were some real high points, and even in the last 24 hours when people are recounting, their top 10 lists of the post-Alex Ferguson appointments, like if you're looking for a number one, is Solskjaer 1.0, is that actually the best appointment they've made post-Ferguson?
Hard to know. I think a lot of the noise post-Ferguson is the structures of the club and what's gone on above the manager.
Yeah,
it's the main issue.
They've all been bad, but was Solskjaer not the best of a bad bunch?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
Who has been the best post-Ferguson manager?
Ten Hag won FA Cup. Did Ferguson or did Solskjaer win anything?
There was a Europa League final in there, wasn't there? That was a whole...
They lost on penalties.
Yeah. So it probably wasn't. Yeah, maybe that is the high water mark. I don't know. I think he's quite low down in the win ratio in terms of the games managed. I think Mourinho's way up there and Ten Hag is up there too. Like, I would probably argue that Jose Mourinho, is he not the top?
Jose would argue the second place finish was a high watermark for that Manchester United era. I think when you look at win percentage, I need to go back through them all. Solskjaer is right in the mix. I think there was like a real sense of belief that they could have launched a title challenge at one point. I'm not saying they did, but there was a point midway through the season that Solskjaer was in charge and where you thought that they're actually going to be the ones to potentially challenge here. And when that fades away and when they fall to whatever it was, 7th, and that defeat to Watford, which precipitates his sacking, when they get hammered 4-1 by Watford, you think, they really, this is a really, really bad situation. But maybe we need to remember the high points that Solskjaer actually reached in the first era. And I'm saying this as somebody, and I remember being quite critical of Solskjaer at the time, but I guess what's happened since COVID is that we've got even greater perspective on Manchester United, and we've got a greater appreciation of how badly run the club is.
Mourinho finished 2nd.
He did, yeah.
Yeah, he's the best since Ferguson then. Surely.
Right, let us know. 087 9 180 180. Where do you want to go next, Cameron?
We'll move on to Chelsea because they unveiled Liam Rosenior is what I'm going with. I've heard that from somewhere else. I think it was Sev Hutchinson saying that Leroy Rosenior had told him that's how it's going. So I'm going to go with that. But anyway, he's going to give everything to bring success to Chelsea after being confirmed as the club's new manager. 6-year contract at Stamford Bridge for the 41-year-old. He will watch tomorrow's Premier League match against Fulham from the stands, with under-21s coach Callum McFarlane continuing to take charge on a temporary basis. Nottingham Forest boss Sean Dyche, meanwhile, insists their clash with West Ham tonight isn't a so-called 6-pointer. A victory at the London Stadium would take them 7 points clear at the top of their opponents, who are currently occupying the Premier League's final relegation place. That kicks off in East London at 8 o'clock.
I just wanted to take a moment there because COVID brain and all that. Like I was thinking when you said that Jose Mourinho finished second, I was thinking, did Solskjaer not finish second? And it was COVID times, and everything that happened there doesn't really count, and my brain doesn't exist in that time. He did finish second in the 2020-2021 season.
Solskjaer did?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Which is obviously the thing that turned into what felt like a bit of a title race at that point, or a bit of a challenge. Again, speaking with my brain that feels like it doesn't exist at that point, it feels like it never materialised, and sure enough, when you do check it, they finished on 74 points. Manchester City won the title with 86 points, so they were a good bit off top, but still second place, and they were 5 points clear of Liverpool that season, and 7 points clear of Chelsea in fourth, with Leicester in fifth. So if you remember all the details of the 2020-2021 season, well done to you, because I certainly do not.
I vaguely remember in Ole's on, like, when he got to the end of that season, and it was the most polite, proving the doubters wrong press conference after they managed to get second. I do remember that, where it was sort of like, you didn't believe me, but it's okay if you didn't believe me, it's absolutely fine. So that probably puts a bow on Solskjaer for the moment. We'll go to Martin O'Neill, because he admits he might not have the energy to stay on as Celtic manager beyond the end of this season. The 73-year-old's back in interim charge at Parkhead 33 days after his last spell. He retakes the job from Wilfred Nancy, who was sacked after a run of 6 defeats in his first 8 games. But just as in his first stint as interim boss this season, O'Neill insists that he's not the long-term solution.
I wonder whether I would have the capacity to go and carry on. And also, I'm 112 next birthday, so I think time is kind of running out for me. But I'd be, I'd like to try and do well in it. And I think that, who knows what the board might think, but I would not be, and I'm serious about this, I wouldn't be thinking any longer than the end of the season for me, regardless of what happens.
Is this also your sort of kind of break glass in case of emergency situation, Owen?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And a good one.
Yeah, well, he done really good in his last little stint a few weeks ago there. His interim time for them was longer than Nancy's permanent time at the club, which was mad. But to show you the turmoil in the place, so it
was also good for Brand O'Neill. Like I felt a sense of warmth towards Martin O'Neill for the first time in a while during that first Celtic stint. It feels that him on the sideline, him in the tracksuit, Celtic doing well.
Nostalgia.
Is the best. It is nostalgia. But it's the best version of Martin O'Neill. And like I think he's tried his best to kind of contain himself when he's been in a studio in the 33 days that Wilfred Nancy was manager, and he trying his best to not be critical of the manager who was in situ at that point. But I think he just finds life easier maybe on the touchline, and I think that's the best version of O'Neill. And even in press conferences, he's charming and quite likeable in those situations, more so than maybe in other areas. That's just my opinion. But
that's just Tony O'Donoghue asking questions.
Yeah, well, very different. The Republic of Ireland O'Neill may be different to the Celtic O'Neill. Loads of chat coming in on text around Manchester United, as you'd imagine. Patrick says, or Chris rather says, as a Manchester United fan, I'd love a failed loan spell run from our Sheshko. Sean in Dublin says, lads, Solskjaer back to United is the most we have no other ideas since another mass in Father Ted. Niche Fan on YouTube says Ole, Carrick and Fletcher will collaborate as the new coaches. Ole is working for basically nothing. Guaranteed Amorim goes to City after Pep. They will fund his 3-4-3 properly. What do you think happens to Amorim?
I've no idea. I don't know. I do think this damages him. I think ownerships of football clubs want practical managers. I think he live and die in results at the end of the day, and he didn't seem to have that mindset going into matches because he refused to change how he played, and some of his in-game decisions as well I would question.
Is his ultimate grievances not entirely justified though? The Semenyo thing. That was what Jamie Jackson was talking about yesterday, that they said that they were going to set aside this month 65 million to get the release clause for Semenyo, but suddenly that money wasn't available for anybody else. once City, he decided that his preference, and I think he's having a medical in City on Thursday, that, oh no, we don't actually have that. It was for Semenyo or nothing. It was like, I was saying to you outside, it was like when you go to Disneyland and you can only buy Disney dollars. It's like, no, we can't redeem that for any other player, I'm afraid. Sorry about that. Like, is that not a totally justified reason to leave a club if you feel you're not going to give me the backing you were going to if it was a specific player, but nobody else?
They probably don't think there's anyone else out there that's worth 65 million. Like Semenyo 65 million because there's a buyout clause there.
Yeah.
They probably can't get another Semenyo for 65 million.
But my point is, does that not enhance him in the eyes of other clubs later, that actually, yeah, it was probably right that you left there. We will give you the backing. I know the kind of lack of compromise and maybe the Pope not telling you if the Pope told you to change.
It's definitely an angle he can use to sell himself in the future, absolutely. But I think from a club's point of view, like value for money is crucial. And like, I want to speak to you later on about the PSR stuff, but like, I think Semenyo, like, you wouldn't be surprised to Semenyo if it wasn't the 65 million that he's able to go for, would go for the likes of 90. You know, I think he's really, really that good. And I think it's value for money. It's like, what are you actually getting in return for what you're spending? If they have to go out and spend 65 million on someone else, I don't think you'd get the same type of player as Semenyo. And we're not just going to give you 65 million to do that, because it's probably not worth it.
Yeah, I think that's the situation. I think last summer they had a Semenyo or Mbumo situation, and they went the Mbumo way. But you'd think that maybe if they were fully backing the manager, they would have gone for somebody else with that cash in January. Paul Hogan's been in touch to say Ole's interim era was the best Manchester United side post Fergie. I know Jose won trophies, but Ole brought United DNA. Pundits can avoid the obvious, but it doesn't matter. United, he says. And Patrick on the Chelsea conversation says, giving the new manager a 6-year contract at Chelsea is a joke. 6 months more like the way they go through managers. That's the reality, but will the players have any respect for the man in the dugout if he's not being contracted into the 2030s? I doubt they will. What have you got for us, Cameron?
Well, two more bits on the home front. Bolton Wanderers have signed Shelbourne defender Lewis Temple on a 2-year deal. The 20-year-old made 14 appearances for Shells in 2025, including 3 games in their Conference League campaign, also enjoying spells at Longford Town in Wexford. And Alamin Kazim is heading back to Galway United from St Pat's after a loan spell in 2024. He's going back to Eamon DC Park. He signed an undisclosed deal today.
Now, we will have more on Gaelic games after 8 o'clock, but give us the headline today.
Well, new Mayo manager Andy Moran says Kobe McDonald will be given every opportunity to play for their senior football team this year. The teenager is set to join AFL club St Kilda later this year after his leaving cert, but the son of Mayo great Kieran featured in a challenge game against Meath last month. Moran is keeping the 18-year-old in his panel, and he's also explained why Geelong's Oisín Mullen linked up with the squad this winter. The Mayo boss was speaking to our GAA correspondent Tommy Rooney.
Nobody has asked me one question about Kobe, Tommy Allmore. Like, Kobe's part of it for 2026, so there was no conversation there, really, to be honest. The one with Oisín, yeah, you talked to the leadership group, and he was in training with us anyway, and the boys were expecting him to come more than asking him. It was, but such a great fella, Tommy. Like, he trained with us up to the 29th of December, you know. So he never missed a beat, like, you know. So it was like when he left, it was like he left us for a second time, you know. But it was it's just a great fella. Like, the opportunity for Noah McGrail from Gary Moore to see Oisín Mullen training and to see the way he carries himself around the group and to see the way he looks after Kidman and Liam Ludden, to see the way he does that sort of stuff. And it's no coincidence that these two boys are here from Geelong, because I think this is the way the cultural aspect of their club runs, you know. And it's I think it's amazing too. Like, you're on about doing podcasts, Tommy, and stuff like that. I think that they're two very interesting fellas to talk to, because I think the way that they carry themselves with Dingle and with Mayo respectively, I think is probably down to the culture they've learned in Australia. And obviously they're great human beings, or they wouldn't have been brought over themselves, but I think they've bought into the culture over there as well. And we were lucky enough to see Oisín performing that over the last maybe 8 weeks with us, you know.
That's fascinating insight from Andy Moore, and just the kind of blend of what we think is professionalism within the GEA and the actual professionalism of the AFL lads. In his case, Oisín Mullen coming back, training with the team for a while, and just what he shows to his teammates in terms of what he's learnt down in Australia. It's you kind of have to give credit to Mayo to being open-minded about this, that Mullen's not going to play with them next year, just during his off-season to actually train with the team, and also got to be relatively open-minded about the fact that Kobe's going to be with them again next year, even though you know that he's going to be flying his wings and going further afield after next year, actually using what these players have done in terms of going away when they actually come back home, even for a brief period, is not a bad idea as a coach.
Yeah, it's good to get them back in and taking the ideas of what they're learning over there as well. You see loads of that in sport at the minute. Obviously a football man, but I know in the last year, I think Johnny Sexton went over to Brentford and some Shamrock Rovers as well, trying to see what he can learn.
Yeah.
I know the likes of loads of football clubs in England leaned into NFL, and especially they leaned into the NBA when VAR came in for corner kicks and stuff, because of how you defend in a basketball game. You can't use your hands if someone's running at you and stuff. So they leaned into the NBA. I know the FA in England did that. They leaned in the got some coaches over from the NBA to try to teach the England national team how to defend better from corners without using your hands and stuff. So interesting stuff. It's great. It's obviously you can learn some great things by having a little different outlook on things.
Yeah, definitely seems to be pushing Mayo in the right direction. Anyway, we do have some pre-season action and some other news from Gaelic games today, Cameron.
Yeah, Galway will be without the services of Matthew Thompson for the early part of the upcoming inter-county season. The Young Footballer of the Year nominee heading to the US, Berkeley in Canada, or California, I believe, as part of his studies, which will rule him out of the National League and Connacht Championship campaigns. Right now, you've two McGrath Cups games down for decision this evening. At the moment, Cork lead Tipperary by 111 to 3 points at Kappa White. That's been moved because of the weather, while Clare's clash with Kerry is going ahead at Clare Castle, and Kerry have a 10 points to 4 points lead over Clare in that one. Just on Evan Ferguson watch, he's been given the man of the match award for that game against Lecce today. So
and only played 60 minutes.
There you go. Yeah. That impact, as Opta might say. And finally, Owen, more coin toss controversy today. So the Ulster hurling pre-season clash between Tipperary and Fermanagh had originally been scheduled for Saturday. That fell foul of the cold weather and was postponed until Monday. Then yesterday it was further postponed until tonight, down for a 7:45 throw-in at Garvaghey. This evening, Tyrone GAA posted this update that the Conor McGurk game below will not be played due to the continuing poor weather conditions, and a coin toss has been conducted to decide who progresses as follows. Tyrone won a coin toss against Fermanagh, so Tyrone now play Donegal in the quarter-final on Thursday in Convoy.
How would you feel if you were playing a pre-season game and it was decided by a coin toss?
Was the game played?
No.
So the game wasn't played at all, just it was the toss of the coin. I don't know. I don't know. But this is pre-season.
Pre-season, yeah.
So what was it? Why did they even bother with the toss of the coin? Is it a tournament?
It's a tournament. It's pre-season tournament. Yeah.
Okay.
I think the Emirates Cup.
Okay. Yeah, who cares?
Wow.
Yeah, no, who cares? But it doesn't mean anything.
Well, the crazy thing is, none of these competitions were played last year.
That's it. They matter again. But Longford's O'Byrne Cup defence ended in a coin toss loss at the weekend, for instance. Longford don't win too many trophies.
Yeah, it's a strange one.
No, it's.
There's just no time, obviously, to get the game in.
That's it. Yeah, right into the National League at the end of January. You might give us the rugby news, Cameron, because Leinster could line out with an interesting front row at the weekend.
Yeah, so Andrew Porter could switch again to tight head for their game against La Rochelle in the Champions Cup this Saturday. He came in as tight head cover, moving back to the bench when Rabah Slimani pulled up before their game against Connacht in the URC last weekend. So Slimani and Tyke Furlong are both doubts for the meeting with Ronan O'Gara's two-time champions at the Aviva Stadium this Saturday. And then on the Munster front, you've Munster back rowers John Hodnett and Alex Kendellen ruled out for their trip to Toulon on Sunday. Hodnett has undergone surgery on a thumb injury, while Kendellen is recovering from an ankle issue. Tight head Ollie Jaeger has returned to full training this week, but remains a doubt for this weekend's game in France.
All right, Cameron, thank you very much for that. We're going to be speaking to Tarek Panja after the break. He's of the New York Times to talk about the multi-club ownership models in football after the Rosenior appointment from Strasbourg to Chelsea, both of the Blue Co football group. We'll be back in a few minutes. And before that, it's the Cash Machine.
News Talk's Cash Machine.
Now, the Cash Machine is back up and running for 2026, and there's another big amount to be won this Friday. The number you need to know is €75,000. Exactly, that's €75,000. And there are two ways you can enter. You can visit newstalk.com/cash machine, where you can enter online, or you can text play to 57557. That's 57557. You have to get your entry in by 3 p.m. this Friday. Then across the Go Loud network of stations, someone is going to get that call. If your phone rings, you have to answer it within 5 rings. Give us the exact amount in euro and cent, and you'll win the cash. So remember that amount one more time. €75,000. Exactly. For over 18s only, text costs €2.50 plus your standard message rate to play. You're playing across the Go Loud network of stations, and terms and conditions are on newstalk.com.
Up to €4,000. For all the information and resources you need to comply with rental law, visit our new website at rtb.ie today. Brought to you by the Residential Tenancies Board.
All progressive, all premium, all yours. For a limited time, experience the new 261 Audi range with exclusive upgrades during Audi All Access at your local dealership. From the all-new Audi Q3 to the unparalleled performance of the all-electric Audi A6 e-tron, every model opens up a new experience. Book a test drive today. Terms and conditions apply. Audi. Vorsprung durch Technik.
In a world being shaped by technology, innovation and regulation, Bird & Bird are transforming legal services in Ireland. As world-renowned experts in IP data and tech, discover how Bird & Bird can support your legal needs and help you stay ahead. Visit twobirds.com/Ireland today to find out more.
Make 2026 the year you discover Ballymaloe House Hotel. Plan your stay and enjoy 20% off bed and breakfast when you book before January 15th. Ballymaloe House Hotel is located in East Cork with elegant bedrooms, farm-to-table dining, offering a truly memorable stay. Available for a limited time, book now to secure 20% off bed and breakfast. Visit ballymaloo.ie and plan your 2026 getaway to Ballymaloe House Hotel.
Football on Off the Ball.
Brought to you by William Hill. Download the app and play today. 18 plus gamblingcare.ie.
This is News Talk.
You're welcome back. So Liam Rosenior has been appointed as the new Chelsea boss. He's going to succeed Enzo Maresca in the role, signing up for a 5.5-year deal. He comes from Strasbourg in Ligue 1, who also operate under the Blue Co ownership group. And Strasbourg Supporters Federation, as you can imagine, are furious. They've described it as another humiliating step in the club's subjugation to Chelsea. To discuss this, I'm happy to say that Tariq Panja of the New York Times is with us on the line. Tariq, how are you doing?
I'm all right, guys. Better than the Strasbourg fans, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it's hard to put your finger on what the dominant emotion is here. But if I were to make an attempt at it, I would say it's helplessness. It's the fact that they seemingly could do very little to stop their manager moving to another club in the same group, a bigger club in the same group.
Yeah, it's that. You're like in a country like a vassal state, vassal club.